Our job as investigators is to keep a completely open mind. We need to look at every piece of information and to put it bluntly, there are probably people out there in the community that are deciding which side, so to speak, to take in this investigation. Is this an issue of a woman suffering significant domestic violence and her and her children perishing at the hands of the husband, or is this an instance of a husband being driven too far by issues that he's suffered by certain circumstances into committing acts of this form? Because of that, that's why I want people to come and speak to us. If we are going to build that complete picture, keep an open mind as to what's occurred, then we need to speak to everyone and compile that complete picture with information from the public.
I just want to make some comments about what's occurred in the last 24 hours. And before I start, I want to sincerely apologise for the comments that were made. It was an officer trying to explain a process and then had a little bit too much to say about that. I apologise from the QPS to the victims or anyone that may have been offended and hurt by this. I phoned the officer this morning, and as you can appreciate, he is distraught and gutted because of the way he explained it and then construed. He tried to explain it further in his 13-minute interview. As I was suggesting and asking him that he needed to step aside, he actually volunteered and said for the integrity and the confidence of not only this investigation, but us in policing, he needed to. And I totally agreed with that. For anyone that might know Inspector Mark Thompson, he's an extraordinarily committed, experienced and brilliant investigator. And he, like the rest of us, believe that domestic violence is nothing but a scourge on society. And we attend some 100,000 occurrences a year. And the Queensland Police Service is so committed to particularly looking after victims, families and children that are affected by domestic violence. And I was looking at statistics just yesterday. Over 260 occurrences a day. And in some of my shifts, that's all my officers do, is go from one occurrence to the other. So a sincere apology for any hurt we may have caused. The officer is distressed and he is an exceptionally good police officer. Thank you. I will take questions.
It is understood, it is known that many victims don't come forward because they are afraid that they won't be believed. Is part of your suggestion to him to stand aside from the probe a concern that the remarks might spur that on or continue that on? People who might have read them or seen them?
I think that once those comments are made, and as you see, there's been scathing, comments about those things that he said. I, as the head of the organisation, and not only I, Mark knows that you've got to be put aside, and basically let the integrity of the investigation continue, and that people have confidence in us. That has a decision that has to be made.
Commissioner, do you understand some of the social media outrage and media commentary?
Oh, definitely. If you see it in isolation of what was fully said, I listened to just that part and I thought to myself, wow, this is really hurtful to anyone that would be affected by this, by domestic and family violence, something that we are trying to get rid of in our societies, work so hard to support particularly victims.
Do you at the same time feel sorry for Mark?
Because I know him and because I know that's not him, I definitely feel sorry for him.
Do you have any concern that this might have damaged or caused any issues for relationships with domestic violence services or other community services?
I think those services which we deal with all the time, who know us truly and work with us every day, You know, we sit on all the councils, we work with the NGOs. Like I said, we attend to 100,000, you know, occurrences a year. Know that we're committed to this. We're so proud of the way forward from not now, not ever. And that's why we believe that report and the work that we have done, we've had massive increases in reporting. Our reporting jumped 7.5% from 1718 to 1920. We have over 100,000 occurrences and we think it's increasing. And that is because of the confidence in the system. And it's a tough gig. And we find ourselves in a very difficult situation.
He's a very well-known inspector. Do you think that this could potentially have an impact on his reputation going forward?
I think those that know him know because they know who the person that he is. He gets specifically chosen to do some of the most difficult investigations because of his skill, ability, empathy and compassion. That's the person he is. So I certainly hope in the long term that there is no damage from this. The rest of us in this organisation, that's why we're in the organisation, because we want to protect the vulnerable in particular. And that's what his role is, and he's actually good at it.
Have you or Mark reached out to the family, or will somebody from the service do
I'm definitely taking up with the family this afternoon, not only to offer my condolences, but to also apologise and to have a discussion with them about what occurred, and hopefully for them to understand.
Will it be by phone or?
No, I'm actually going to see them, the entire family, this afternoon.
And Hannah Clarke had a DVO. Was there any failure by police or the system to keep her safe?
So we obviously have just a preliminary look at that, and we've done a lot of work with Hannah and her family, and I know her family will probably, might mention that. But what will happen now, it's not just the investigation of the murder and Hannah and her children. There will be a thorough investigation now of every aspect of this case, and every person and every agency that had a touch point with the family and what decisions were made. And that's purposely so, to see whether we could have intervened, we could have prevented, and we do that purposely to be thorough and to make sure if there are any gaps ever, that we learn from them and we address them into the future. And that is also being undertaken as well. And not just us, there's obviously the Family Violence Death Review Committee, so this is an independent group of people that will look at this.
What is the biggest challenge for police in trying to reduce the number of domestic violence instances or cases like this? What is the biggest hurdle for you?
I think there's many hurdles. It's emotive, it's complex. There are, in every domestic violence case, they're very different. So we will have 5 in a shift and they'll be completely different. Some relate to alcohol issues, drug issues, controlling behaviours, psychological control, you name it. It is extraordinarily complex. So to hit on one thing, to say that that's the challenge, for all of us involved in this space, not just Queensland Police, all of the NGOs, the domestic violence services, all of the other agencies that work so hard. If you only saw the machine behind the scenes, we work so hard all together. Like, we don't have a difference opinion on this. When you look at the other agencies and the NGOs and us, we have the same view about this. We want to stop it and stop it as soon as possible. And our challenge is that it's not happening. Our challenge is, in fact, that I think it's underreported. And it's difficult to tell how much underreporting takes place, but I know from talking to domestic violence services that people will go to them and haven't reported it to police. So we are talking about a scourge in society that we all have to stand up and take a stance and be responsible and have the discussion and say this has got to stop.
And Gold Coast Police are doing, understand things a bit differently. They're looking at charging DV offenders with every single possible criminal offence. Are there any plans to roll that approach out across the state?
Certainly. The other thing that's happened in recent years, as you know, we have the offence of strangulation, which came into place some 4 years ago. Excellent criminal offence for strangulation. We've charged close to 900 people for that, and I think the figure is about over 800 people have received a jail sentence. So what we're saying, and what government's saying and all agencies are saying, this is serious. You commit a criminal offence associated with this, you will be charged, and we're going to be holding you to account for it.
You said when you were looking at Mark's comments in isolation, they were hurtful. Do you think his comments have been taken out of context in relation to a lot of the comments that they made?
I think definitely the phrasing should have been better. It should have been better phrased, and I wouldn't be here in front of you. But he spoke for 13 minutes. And when you look at the interview, he tries to explain his comments. And at the end of the day, he should have just said, we as police have an investigation to do, a thorough investigation of a murder, that we then have to deliver the findings to the coroner's court.
If it's just a matter of his phrasing of the comments, does that really warrant removing what, in your words, a brilliant investigator from a complex investigation?
You know, Mark is distraught, okay? And I think we all are, about what happened in particular, but also about what has now occurred. But in fairness to Mark and myself and the agency, we want to remove the noise and concentrate on the issue. So the issue is there is a murder, there is a mother and 3 children who have been murdered, and I want to concentrate on that. So if there's anything that the noise on the side, if that's interfering with this, I need to deal with it.
It's a massive step for someone in a position to stand beside someone in his position. Are you able to just go further into why you decided that was a necessary step to take?
For the very reasons that I have just mentioned. So there are people obviously making derogatory comments out there about us, about the officer, and if there is noise going on there, I want to make sure that we are concentrating what the issue is at the moment. And like I said, Mark, who I spoke to, I didn't really even have to say much. He knows for the integrity and the confidence of what's occurred that someone else could better, just stand in the position and take the investigation over. He is a good man. He does wonderful work in our agency. He does wonderful work for the community. And this is an unfortunate set of circumstances that we find ourselves in.
Are you able to provide any sort of update at all on the investigation and I guess where it's headed now, especially given that the offender has himself passed away? That obviously presents a particular challenge as well.
No, I don't think it presents a challenge. I think the facts at the moment are quite straightforward. It is a murder of, 3 children and a mother. However, I think it's extraordinarily important that when we have such a tragic event, that we do have independent bodies go in and have a look to see what led up to it and to see whether intervention could have taken place earlier and what can we learn from this. I once again offer my condolences to the family who I'm going to meet with this afternoon, and condolences from all of the Queensland Police Service. We see this scourge every day of our working lives, every day. And this is the top end of the most horrible day you could ever find yourself in. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.